What's up, guys? This is Corey. Welcome to the Faith Over Fear Society. This show is for the ones who are ready to break the cycle of a fear based mentality and embrace the extraordinary journey of choosing faith over fear. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in if you're new, and welcome back. And thanks for tuning in if you're coming back. So, I like to jump right into it. I don't like to whole lot of fluff, but I will like to give, if there's any new listeners, the premise of this show, and that is exactly what I said in the opening. This is faith over fear. It's not just the name of the show; it's a literal thing, and it's choosing having faith, and not just your religious faith. It's having faith in oneself and the process. In this world, we are spoon fed and really force fed fear propaganda, and it's all for an end, and they feel the means justify the ends in the end, because they're protecting ourselves from ourselves. And there's not a lot of people pushing back and giving some sort of solutions to all these problems that they say we have in the world. There's people who will take the counter argument and just point fingers and say, look what they're saying, look at what they're doing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I don't want to do that here. I want to take things that I've personally gone through in my life and things that I see going on in the world and talk about how to push past that, right? Like, how can we do better? And that's the value I'm trying to give here, is solutions and how to move forward. And why is it important? Like today's topic is structure. I like talking about it because I feel it just makes your life better. I talked about it before, and when I talked about discipline, consistency, and accountability, and I'm going to talk about the importance of structure here, more so about just having structure, and the importance of it. And you know, through history, we have always been some sort of structure. It's an innate need that we have as people, as a species, have some sort of structure. You don't believe me? Go outside, right? Look under a microscope of our cells. Look at the cities we live in. You know, look at the houses that we build. Structure dictates the quality and trajectory of our lives. So, what is structure, right? Like, in essence, in layman's term, it's a system of rules, principles, or standards, uh, an established order, right? That's what structure is, and it's the bedrock of civilization. Again, go outside, look at the buildings. The buildings didn't have some sort of structure, would they stand? If the roads didn't have some sort of structure to go somewhere directional, would we drive them? If our laws weren't structured in a way that gave order to chaos, we would have chaos. If we didn't get up and brush our teeth every day, sorry, when I talked to Bodie, anyway, when we wake up and brush our teeth every day, if we didn't do that, we'd have cavities, right? There are some people out there with no fucking teeth, so they don't have to brush their teeth. But why don't they have teeth? Because they didn't have structure and they weren't told to brush their teeth every day. So without structure, there's chaos. Chaos is fucking scary. Anyone who's gone through a chaotic time in their lives where they had no direction, right? They lost the meaning of the life. They were living in chaos. Imagine LA. I mean, I guess that's a bad example because it's pretty fucking chaotic there. Imagine St. George with no traffic regulations, no laws. That very nice town, and I use that because it's close by and it's relatively quiet. There's crime in every city, but it's relatively quiet, right? People obey the law. Uh, most of the criminals live on the outside. Anyway, without law, there would be chaos everywhere. So without structure, life becomes directionless and ultimately stressful, right? That's what it is. Like people who are stressed out all the fucking time rarely have some sort of structure, rarely have some sort of routine. Um, with structure, it provides predictability. It ensures that we're better prepared for the day, for the week, for the month, and we're less prone to being overwhelmed. There was a video I shared a couple months ago. It was a woman talking about her husband and how he's a former military and how he was better at organizing his day than she was. And she went out and she did some research and she found that actually people who have gone through some sort of military service when they transition back to civilian world and especially and they take on something like entrepreneurship, they fucking crush it. Um, look at what some of these veteran-owned companies are doing. There's the beer company, the Black Rifle Coffee Company, although they've recently sold out. But anyway, they 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 attacked those as if it was a mission, right? Before I talked about there's two ways you can look at something that's hard. You can look at it as a challenge or a threat. When you spend your life downrange in some sort of warfare or preparing for some sort of warfare, the number one thing is self-preservation. How do you do that? How do you accomplish that? You have to have all kinds of fucking structure, right? All kinds of discipline, all kinds of wherewithal of things that could possibly go wrong, right? You're better prepared for the day, the month, the year. And if you're prepared, even for things to go sideways, you plan contingencies. You're less overwhelmed. And that's what she found is I guess she did research. I can't remember the premise of the video, but she did do research and she found that people who are structured and actually deal with stress better. And I believe Andrew Huberman has done something like that, some sort of research about that too. Don't quote me on that because I only listen to him every so often. And sometimes I just listen to the sound bites. So anyway, there's a lot of research out there that shows that being having some sort of structure it makes you more productive. And I just want to go float back to something I said earlier about predictability. There are people in the world who will look down their nose at you and use being predictable as some sort of like down talk. And to them, I say, fuck off. Because I'm not predictable. I have fucking structure, right? Every morning at 5 a.m., my alarm goes off. Every morning at 5:45, I know where I'm going to be. My wife knows where I'm going to be. My kids know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be at the gym. Something happens to me and I don't come home at 7:05, if I'm not at home in the driveway, waking Bodie up for school, getting him dressed by 7:15, something's wrong, right? Being predictable helps prolong your life. So again, people who use predictability as some sort of down talk or insult, fuck off. So a well-structured environment or routine or being predictable, it bolsters productivity. When your tasks and your priorities and your goals are well defined, we can focus on them. We recently had a project of cleaning up our house and our yard because Samantha's mom's coming in town. So we wrote out a list and we knocked things off the list. It's taken me this long to finally get Samantha in a world where she wants to knock things off a list, but nonetheless, I get to knock that off my list. So stay vigilant. But you can navigate your commitments, things that you're, doing with greater efficacy. Uh, you reduce waste time and effort, reducing wasted time and effort, uh, and ensuring that every action is purpose driven, right? Like doing. So I use the term do the things you have to do in order to do the things you want to do, right? I feel like this podcast is something that I want to do more than I have to do it. So I get all this is like this is my main thing, right? I live a very active life. So this is something that I'm doing in my spare time. And how I'm getting to be able to do this in my spare time is making sure the shit that needs to get done gets done. I get my workouts in, I ride my horse, I make sure the house is clean, I get my chores done. And, by this time it's 3 p.m. I have time to do this podcast. And we actually spent more time riding today than I normally do because we went out and got lessons from our trainer, from my wife and Scarlett and Samantha's trainer. I guess he's my trainer too now, but um, I got all my shit done. Right. And then on our list of things to do before Samantha's mom gets here, I believe there's only one or two things left. And one of those major things is pulling all the weeds, and I have to relocate a sprinkler. And this list was like 15 bullet points long. So with structure, it inadvertently fosters discipline. I mean, it doesn't inadvertently foster it. It directly influences discipline. Uh, a structured approach ensures every part of our life works in harmony. It pushing us towards self improvement and growth. It provides the framework for cultivating habits, mastering skills, and refining our characters. Go out and try to learn to play the violin and do it on a scattered schedule, right? Play a couple days here, don't do it for a week or two, do it a day here. And I'm only saying that I played the violin in junior high. And my first year, I was all right at it because obviously you're learning it. But my next 2 years, seventh and eighth grade, I was really, really good at it because I'd spent a year playing it. And by the time I was in eighth grade, I had opportunities to sit first chair in concerts. So you can't do things like that without some sort of structure and without some sort of discipline. You know, a structured life imparts clarity. I know what I'm going to do at this time, and I know I have this much time to do something else. You know what to expect. You have a clear path to tread and recognize our boundaries. We can greatly reduce anxiety and uncertainty. And if you think about how we're being pushed this chaos, right? Like just go out wimbly nimbly and do whatever the fuck you want whenever you want to do it, right? Why are people more uh, anxious ridden and anxiety ridden now? Being able to do whatever the fuck you want to do. You could be a man, you could be a woman, you could be a child, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But we're living in a time where people have more anxiety than they ever had before. There's more anxiety drugs and mental drugs being prescribed on a daily basis now than any point never in time in history. Why? You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Why are we having such an epidemic of anxiety, right? And some people will say, oh, because, acceptance and blah, 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 this. Like, no, man, that's not it. It's because they don't have any fucking discipline. They don't have any structure. So they wake up at fucking noon. They've slept half the day and they have shit to get done. Well, because they slept half the day, They sleep or they do something else for the rest of the day, putting it off till tomorrow. And then the homies call up at 10 p.m. like, "Hey man, let's go to this club and party through the night." And then you wake up the next day, and now you got to pop your fucking Xanax because you have anxiety because you have to go to work and be a fucking normal human being. But you can't be a normal human being because you've been told you can do whatever the fuck you want to do and you don't need structure. And taking fucking Xanax to calm your mind is it's just you're trying to have the results of structure without the structure. Like I said, I know tomorrow my alarm's going to go off at 5. I'm going to be in the gym by 5:45. If I was stressed for some fucking reason, I can let it go because like I know working out helps me alleviate stress, right? And it's the first thing I do in the morning because I like to feel good for the rest of the day because it, releases all kinds of endorphins and hormones and things like that. So you feel good. And if I didn't feel good at night, like, nah, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. No, it's going to be all right. Right. That's where I get my fix. And then I'll do everything I need to get done. And if I have time to do another podcast, fuck it. So be it. And then there you go. Right. I get all my shit done. And if I decide to do a podcast because this isn't like on my list of, this is not on my non negotiables, I could do it or not. Or I could do some research on, prepare myself better for another show or another topic. It's evident that structure is more than just mere order. It's a mean to a richer and more meaningful existence. When you are able, so people who are, have lost control of their lives, most of the time, they become overweight and obese, right? And the first thing they want to do is control their weight and their eating habits. And I think that is a great place to start because those are things you that can directly control. Um, and then it helps you spill over into other things, right? Like getting that to-do list done, having non-negotiables. People have their to-do list, but people don't have their non-negotiable list. And if you're listening, that is something you should invest in. 3 to 5 things that are non-negotiable that you have to do every single day. So, uh, by making your life more meaningful, you realize personal potential. We'll go back to working out, right? You are overweight. You are having a weird relationship with food, and you're just let yourself go, right? And you don't believe in yourself, so you take control of that, right? And you realize you have the potential to do that. So a structured approach facilitates self-awareness. You set a goal. I'm going to lose X amount of pounds this week, then X amount of pounds last week, and then so on and so forth. And those things start happening. You're like, holy fuck, I can do this. I've grabbed the reins of life and I can navigate this now. With set goals and a clear path to achieve them, we become attuned to our strengths and weaknesses and potential. And we build resilient relationships. Structure extends to our social interactions. And I talked about this in the Dunbar's number episode. We have a direct influence on our small community. Um, we need to stop thinking globally and start thinking tribally when it comes to that aspect. You can't ask somebody on the other side of the world to do something. You have no influence on that. But if you, by realizing your personal potential, are able to control the small things in your life, the people directly in your circle, your physical circle, right? Like your wife, your kids, your coworkers, your structure will bleed into their world. When they see you becoming more successful, uh, and having that more potential, it- that success is contagious, and it either infects people to the point where they're jealous of you, or it infects them to the point where they're like, and I need to do what he's doing. And it'll spill over. Um, and ensuring time for recreation and self care. And I want to use self care very carefully here. Self care is like not pissing away your weekend drunk as fuck. It is not, wasting away. My self care is active self care. I take care of myself by reading, by going to the gym, by doing things that will elevate my mind, my body, my soul, things that will spill over into my relationships, whether they be personal um, or professional. That's how I see self care. Self care is something, it's not self care, it's self improvement. Um, and then recreation, right? Like recreation is what it is. Like go outside and do something. Uh, we ride horses. That's our recreation. I mean, it's our part of our job too, but it is the things that we do for recreation. We get together with friends and we go on, try trails. Oh, sorry, getting late in the day, a little tired. Um, and I go out shooting. And every now and then I'll hop on, Call of Duty. It's like once or twice a week. I haven't played in like 3 weeks, but uh, it's just not something I'm not super into. But anyway, but when you're structured, you have time to do those other things, right? Uh, and lastly, structured individual can recognize their role in a larger community and is better poised to make positive contributions, be it their profession, community service, or any other sphere, right? And that's what I was saying in that Dunbar number episode is locally, right? This is all locally community based. Um, if you're the most structured person in the world that doesn't give a fuck if you're trying to reach somebody, even across the country, you can't influence them the way that you can your own local community. Uh, so in time, we're, marked by overwhelming information and relentless demands on our time, our needs. Structure emerges as not just a luxury, but a necessity. It is a compass that guides us through the life's vast seas, ensuring that every journey, no matter how challenging, is navigated with purpose, direction, and fulfillment. With purpose, direction, and fulfillment. With purpose, direction, and fulfillment. To lead a life of true meaning, to extract the essence of every fleeting moment, to ascend the pinnacles of personal and collective evolution, structure is the unsung hero. It is the firm foundation upon which our most cherished dreams and our most cherished dreams stand tall. Sorry. I wrote this out and I'm trying to read it off and getting a mouthful of words. So embrace it with reverence. And yeah, so that's today's message is structure. Uh, go out there and be structured, right? I'm challenging you now to write down 3 to 5 non-negotiables, things that you have to do and get done every single day. Don't write them down and plan on not doing them on X day. So, like, if you use working out as one of your non-negotiables, there are no off days. There are no off days. You can lighten the load, but there are no off days. So be cognizant of what you're putting in your non-negotiables and reach out to me. Let me know what your non-negotiables are, and I'll let you know what mine are. And thank you for listening to the show, and I'll see you on the next one.